Good morning and welcome to Odoo Live. My name is Noel, Community Manager here at Odoo San Francisco, and welcome once more to Odoo Live. Joining me today, we have Minendra, one of our business advisors, to talk about asset management and revenue recognition. Welcome, Minendra.
Thank you, Noel.
Certainly. As always, if you have any questions for our resident expert, please put them in the chat and we will answer them at the end during our Q&A session. And if you showed up late or would like to watch this webinar again, you can use this link that you're using to watch us right now and watch it anytime at your convenience after we have finished our live broadcast today. So with that being said, go ahead and take it away, Minendra.
Thank you again, Noel.
Certainly.
So as Noel said, we're going to be talking about asset management and deferred revenue recognition today, as well as I'll go into other pieces of our accounting application because it is one of our most robust apps. It does basically what other big name accounting applications do while giving you an added benefit of being connected to the entire system. So every single money movement, every single piece of inventory move, whatever it is that you need to keep track of monetarily, can be tracked in Odoo. And that is a huge value proposition for Odoo itself, because anytime you make a purchase or a sale, it will create an automatic journal entry in your system. So let's get started with the actual demo. As you know, this is what your dashboard will look like. This is our demo database. So, obviously, if this doesn't look familiar to you, these are many of the apps that are usually used in our system. Today, we'll be looking at our accounting application specifically. And so just to give you a quick overview, if you're not familiar with Odoo, this is what our layout of pretty much every app in the system looks like. So we'll have the dashboard menu here. By clicking this, we'll go back to the screen we were just on. You'll see the name of the application up in the top left corner, and then you'll have your sub-menu items across the top here. And through these, you can basically see the things associated with your customers, your vendors, your accounting, where your basic accounting needs, then your reporting tools. And obviously, this is the most viable thing for a accountant or business owner to make sure that your business is running well. Now, specifically for this demo, we're going to look at our assets and our deferred revenues, and we can see that in our accounting submenu. We'll get to that in just a moment. I'm going to go over the rest of our page here. So each one of these boxes here acts as its own journal. So our customer invoices are associated with our accounts receivable. Our vendor bills are associated with our accounts payable. Obviously, our bank is connected to our bank account, which another great thing about Odoo Accounting is that we have an API connection integration with a company called Yodlee. And what Yodlee has done is create a connection to pretty much every bank on the planet. And if your bank isn't there, all you have to do is call them up, tell them that, and they will create a connection to your bank. Now, that being said, once you connect your bank account to our Odoo system, what it allows you to do is create automatic bank reconciliations with your statements. So you have the ability to pick the frequency at which Odoo does this, but what you're doing essentially is taking away a lot of the time that your accountant will spend reconciling bank statements at the end of the month. And that is a great time saver in the long run of your business and your accountant's time. Now, obviously, this is our cash journal, which acts as petty cash that is available in your business. And the POS sale journal shows up when you have the POS app installed in your database. Now, let's jump into our assets. So as you know, many companies have various things they want to make sure that they keep track of in terms of accounting. So maybe your computer, or maybe your fleet, or whatever it is that your company needs to keep track of. Maybe it's equipment in your manufacturing on your floor. So to keep track of that depreciation, we can go into our assets here and create a new one. Now, for example, we'll use the laptop iBook and we'll just say computers here. and we're going to have to pick an asset category, but we don't have one created as of yet. So what we'll do is go ahead and create an edit. And the great thing about Odoo here is that while you're in any record, you are able to create and edit new things on the fly. So as you're in the asset, as you're creating a new asset category, you can, or I'm sorry, a new asset to track depreciation, you can create a new asset category while you're doing this. So we're going to go ahead and say this is computers, right? And we're going to create this in customer invoices, and the asset account is going to be our current assets. So now all the journal entries and the various periodic depreciation times will be recorded in our current asset account. Now, this is obviously a configurable account. After you've set up your chart of accounts inside of Odoo, you can assign this account to a separate account that you want to use specifically for depreciation items. For the sake of this demo and this webinar, we will use the current assets. Now, we can also associate our depreciation entries in the expenses account. So we also have an expense account here that we will associate there. Now, the great thing about Odoo accounting is that it can come with a preset chart of accounts. So if you are just starting out and you need something to keep your books, this is great because you will have something to work off of. And it's very easy to use and it's very easy to configure as well. So here we're going to set this up and we can configure the periodical invoices that come from the depreciating periods. So we can see on the number of entries or on the ending date. In this case, we're going to say there's going to be 5 for a yearly depreciation rate and 1 entry every 12 months. Now, this is obviously, you can change this. So it could be over a period of 6 years every 12 months, or it could be over a period of 3 years every 12 months, or it could be a period of, let's say, 5 and 24. So it will allow you to depreciate semi-annually. So it's very flexible, just how you would like to see it in your books. Now, we also have the ability to do linear depreciation and degressive. So if you're familiar with these two terms, linear basically means that you will depreciate at a singular line going down, and degressive means it will do double time, basically, allowing you to account for this depreciation and then maybe sell it off later on at a higher value or a lower value and salvage it earlier than necessary. Now we're going to go ahead and save that in. And now by just doing that, we've created a new asset category. So the next time you buy computers for, say, your expansion in your business, and you have maybe 50 new people and you need to buy new computers, you have this already created so that next time you make a purchase on a bulk of whatever item that you're buying, you have the ability to just group it by this asset category. Now you have the ability to create references as well in our search tools and the date for which you're going to buy this specific asset. Now, you can also create which way you're going to depreciate these, whether it's based on the last day of purchase period, as you can see, or if it's manual. Manual means that you will actually go in and have to click it once a year. So I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment, but for the time being, we're going to leave that as it is. And today's the 8th, so this is the day it starts our depreciation. Now we're going to add in our gross value, and let's say we've paid $50,000 for new computers. And it also allows you to have a salvage value. So for the time being, I'm going to show you how this works. I'm going to go ahead and save this in, and now you can see that we have a $50,000 residual that goes from 40 to starting today. It depreciates 10,000 starting today, just like with a car or equipment that you will have in your business. And as you can see, over the course of 5 years, it will depreciate down to 0. Now, I don't want to confirm this yet because I want to show you how the salvage value works. So say you want it you want to sell these assets at a certain price when it gets to a certain depreciation. We can add in, let's say, $5,000 here. And as you can see, it'll automatically recalculate your residual value to 45,000. So when I go ahead and save this in, it's going to recalculate and say today it's only going to take 9,000 out. And it will only take 9,000 out over the course of the 5 years. So Odoo is really great with this because it takes away your manual entry of any of this depreciation. And so it'll also give you the ease of keeping track of the assets that you have. Now, once I confirm this, and remember how we clicked, this was the depreciation date manual. So when you go ahead and click on the posted button, it allows you to create a post. Now, our first depreciation for today has been posted inside of our accounting system because we manually posted this entry. And we can also see that through clicking our smart button here. Once we click on here, it will see that this is our customer invoice for $9,000 and it's unposted. Now we can go in here and this is going to be a manual entry. So you're going to have to click post. And now it is actually a post. It's a journal entry inside of our accounting system in our expenses, in our customer invoices and under this name. So anytime you want to see the debit and credit under this specific journal entry, you can go back to your account and go and find it based upon that. And if you had a reference point here, you would be able to search it even more easily. So for example, if we edited here and clicked on depreciation, or actually just put in depreciation and save that in, we're simply able to search this specific invoice entry, this journal entry inside of our main page when we were on the first one. So now this is a fairly simple process, and our deferred revenues work the same way actually. So now that we've actually posted this journal entry and posted it to our accounting journal, you will see that this becomes green. Same thing, same process for the next one. So now you will see that it's 2 items and it's live time. So this will give you when this is, as you're doing this, it'll also give you notifications saying that you have to do this in your initial journal. So on that dashboard where you saw the specific journals that we had, it will, for the accountant, essentially it's a to-do list, and this will show up as something that needs to be done on the date it is supposed to be done. So for example, 11/8/2019, you will go, when you go to your accounting app, you will see that this is something that needs to be reconciled on that day. Now you can also modify, or you can sell or dispose. So say 2 years in, I'm sorry, here we go. We're gonna have to go ahead and post. Actually, one moment. I'm going to go ahead and post this one as well. And say 2 years in, we realize that we don't want these computers anymore and we want to sell them off or dispose of them. We can go ahead and click on this button. And by doing this, we create a journal entry for the remaining amount of the asset that we are tracking at that moment. So we're going to debit $27,000. We're going to credit $27,000. And another thing to note about the accounting module in our system is that it is US GAAP compliant as well as IFRS compliant. So we do multi-currency, multi-company, multi-country accounting, which is really beneficial for multinational companies or even the small business that is buying from China, selling in America and Canada or wherever else in the world. With the advent of e-commerce sites, this is actually a very, very powerful tool that many people benefit from because it can be difficult sometimes when you don't do, when certain accounting programs don't do multi-currencies. So now we're going to go ahead and post this. And now when we go into our journal in our customer invoices, we will see that we have a $27,000 debit under the invoice number of 2018 number 6. So that is a quick view of how our asset management works. Now let's jump into our deferred revenues. Oh, just before I move on, I actually want to show this portion. This is what we call our chatter in Odoo. And in Odoo, everything is tracked, which is great when you have multiple people working on a team. So when you have under one user login, you will have everything recorded and accounted for. So you have full traceability, full accountability for everything that's going on in your business. As you can see, every click I made was recorded here, right? So when we first created the number of entries, when we first created our asset tracking, was 5 minutes ago. And then when we posted our first invoice, that was 4 minutes ago. And then when we posted our second one, it was posted 2 minutes ago. And the great thing about this is that, as you can see on the screen, it's marked down to the second. So there's no way you can be confused about what happened at what time. Your employees will always be, and or you will always be informed of what's going on inside of the system, whether it's two people working on the same record or whether it's you need to go back and audit what has been happening inside of your business and inside of your system. That being said, let's jump into our deferred revenues. And again, we don't have any deferred revenues, so let's say we're going to create one. A common deferred revenue is a subscription product that you have. Oops, nothing is happening here. So let's go ahead and create a subscription, and we're going to create a category. And again, no category. So as you can see, in the same way, it looks fairly similar, right? So you're going to create the same type of deferred revenue type, and I did not spell that properly. Here you go. And we're going to go ahead and say these are subscriptions. Again, they're going to go into our customer invoices. And in this case, we're going to go into our prepayments because that is what a subscription is. And so we're going to say, and this is assuming that somebody paid upfront for a whole, or is going to pay for say it's a 3-year plan for a software, Odoo, for example. We're going to say that they have 3 years of service that they paid for, but we cannot realize those revenues until we've given those services over the course of 3 years. We need to make sure that we set these accounts properly. And so for the purpose of this example, we're going to say that's the account that it's going to go to. And then we're going to go to our product sales here. And something to note about our system as well is that inventory inside of Odoo will automatically default to product sales if you don't set a specific account that you want it to go to. So when you set up, for example, a tangible product, a stockable product in Odoo, it will automatically go to product sales. Same thing if you set it up as a service, because at the end of the day, if you don't set those, it just defaults to this account. Now, again, we have the ability to do based on last day of purchase period or manual defaulted on purchase date. We also have the ability to group our journal entries based upon this specific type of deferred revenue. And you can do this obviously in the asset management as well. And then auto confirm the assets that you have under this category. Now, again, with the periodic type, you can say number of entries and the types of months. So for this case, we're going to say we're going to have 3 entries every 12 months. So that is going to allow us to create a annual subscription and realize our revenues at the end of, or at the beginning of the year when we are going to give service. So now we're going to save this in. And then again, you can create a reference point if you'd like, and then say sorry about that. We're going to say $30,000 just to make this easy. Once we click out of that, the residual value will be $30,000. And you can also associate a customer to this. And by the way, you can also do this with the asset management, except it'll be a vendor. So from the vendor that you bought the actual asset from, you can associate with that specific vendor with this specific deferred revenue and or asset management, asset depreciation inside of the system. So for the sake of this, we're going to go ahead and click Azure Interior, and we can associate an invoice to this as well. So this can come from a source document, basically is what this is. So if you create a sales order inside of Odoo, and then it's obviously a large order, and unless you have $30,000 on hand that you can pay up front, you're probably going to invoice it over a few years, or sorry, not a few years, maybe a few months, whatever it is, whatever your payment terms are. Most people do net 30, maybe sometimes it goes out to net 60, whatever it is. You can associate that with an invoice, and so in your invoices, you'll see a little smart button on top with the linked amount of this specific deferred revenue. So now we're going to go ahead and save that in. And as you can see, it's going to create the calculations for you over the period of 3 years. From cumulative revenue here, it's going to automatically calculate how much it's going to give you over the course. And then at the end of 3 years, it'll zero out automatically. Then in the same way that we tracked the asset management, we will track the deferred revenue. So we go in here, we're going to post it, then we go into our item here, and this is our journal entry. So now that we see the journal entry, make sure everything's okay, we're going to post this, and now it is a journal entry inside of our system, inside of our customer invoices. We're going to go back to our subscription template, and again, as we did with the other, we're going to do it again. Go ahead and click on the items, and then we're going to go ahead and post this. So as you can see, we can do the same functionality. It's fairly parallel in the way that it works in Odoo, and it makes it really easy because if you're going to be having large amounts of assets, which most companies do, I mean, at a certain point, you know, you're going to have to buy computers, or you're going to have to buy systems, and whatever it is, assets tend to depreciate, right? And you can also, and at some point you want to be able to salvage that price that you spent on it. So Odoo makes it really easy to track that, and same with deferred revenues. So I'm gonna go back into the subscription, and again, like we sold or disposed of our assets, we can do that with our deferred revenues as well. You can go ahead and click on sell or dispose, then post, and then we're done. And now we've zeroed out our value. As you can see here, there's no more residual value, and now this has all been recorded in our system as of just a minute ago, or just a second ago actually. And so this is basic asset management and deferred revenue. Now I do want to go into a little bit into our accounting, our general accounting. As I said before, each one of these boxes acts as a journal, and we did just post some things to our customer invoices. And remember how I was saying that this acts as a to-do list? Here on initial view, we're going to see that we have one invoice to validate, and we have 4 unpaid invoices. So whoever handles your accounting in the business will very easily be able to go into your accounting and basically do the things that need to be done based upon other movements in the system. So for example, if somebody, say one of your salespeople made an invoice, say you made an invoice, you can see that they need to be validated right here. And we're going to see that the ones that are all here are open, right? So we can go into each one of these and make sure that we, send our invoices out. And the great thing about Odoo is that you can see and communicate internally and externally through our Discuss app, which allows not only communication internally by allowing you to log notes here, it allows me to basically click upon anybody that's associated with my database and leave them a note and say Mark was the one who sent out this or created this invoice but didn't send it out. I can just go ahead and say, make sure you send out your invoices, and then log this note. Now what happens with our Discuss app is Mark will get a little ping up here that tells him that he needs to do something. Up here, actually, I'm sorry. This is our chatter, and it allows you to communicate internally with your employees, with your colleagues, with your coworkers, whoever you need to, without having any kind of miscommunication. Because what this also does is, with the email address that was associated with Mark, he'll get an email inside of his email account as well. So you're getting notifications on two ends and basically making up for any kind of miscommunication that may happen. Now, that being said, jumping back over here, we can send and print this invoice in one go. So what we'll do is go ahead and click on that. And Odoo allows you to send templates, or create templates and send them out instantly. So we can send a post, which is obviously by mail, which most people don't do these days, but you have that option. You can send it by email, and you can print this for your records. Obviously, it'll come out as a PDF, and then you can save it inside of a file somewhere on your computer. And then you can send this. And as you can see, this will be recorded inside of our chatter once again. And this is where we'll save our PDF. But as you can see, I guess this is not allowing us to send snail mail from our system, but it needs to be obviously connected properly. But here you will see that our email was sent and recorded down to the second. Now back to our invoice. Say your customer Deco Addict decided to send you the price, send you the wire transfer immediately, or whatever it is, they sent you the check, or however they decide to pay you, they paid you. Now you have to go in, register that payment for $525, and you can associate it with which bank or which journal you want. So here you're going to click it into your bank because that's money received, and it's going to be associated with this invoice number 2018, number 3, and number 3. So we're going to validate that, and what in Odoo, when you validate a invoice, that is when it actually becomes a journal entry inside of your bank account. And that is important to know because, again, our system is GAAP compliant. So that means that you have to do the double entry system. And on top of that, we have to have draft invoices because according to GAAP compliance, you have to make sure that you cannot edit invoices once they're sent out. So for example, when we go over to the accounting overview and we want to create a new invoice, let's just do that for example. We're going to associate Azure Interior again. And we're going to say payment terms and let's say net 30, okay? And we're going to invoice date today. And our sales team is America. And we're going to add a product. Let's say we're going to get a customizable desk. And notice how our account gets automatically defaulted, as I said previously, to our product sales. This will show up right here. But while you're creating an invoice, this is configurable. So you can basically put whichever account that you want it to go to. And notice that the deferred revenue comes up too. So we'll see under subscription. So if this was a subscription item and we were going to charge it as such, we have a quick view of how this works right here. I'm not going to click on that right now because then it will make the payment over a course of 3 years, as we saw earlier. You can also put a discount straight from the invoice and whatever tax that you want. So for example, say you're selling to somewhere in California, for example. Oops. We're going to go here and maybe it's 9.75%. We can go ahead and click that in and it will automatically calculate that. Well, it's not working right now. I have to set that up, but it's able to be done is the point. So now we're going to save this in, and as you can see, it'll create a record of this invoice. Then at this point, this is a draft invoice. And once you click validate, it becomes an actual journal. It becomes an actual invoice here. This is when now it becomes more difficult to edit this specific invoice. So now when we register the payment, we can go ahead and put it in our bank and we're going to validate. And now this has become a journal entry in our accounting system. another thing I want to go over here is that I only went over customer invoices, but your vendor bills work the same way. You'll go in, you can validate the bills to pay when you create purchase orders for things that you need to buy for the system or for your business. Sorry, you can see them all here. And if you have past invoice or vendor bills as well, and you want historical data, you can easily import all of that information. And if you've noticed over the course of this webinar, every part of this system allows you to import automatically. So our Odoo is an out-of-the-box solution. It can be much more complicated if you need it to be, but it allows you the freedom to be able to do this as a small business owner or a medium-sized business owner and not have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to other larger companies who will create a much longer implementation time and do custom connections to things that make it not only your life difficult, but will take time out of your operations in the long run. So anyway, we're just going to go ahead and create one here. And as you can see, it's much like the customer invoices, right? We're going to pick a vendor. And in this case, we're going to say Deco Addict. And if you have your vendor reference, excuse me, if you have your vendor reference, you can put that in there. You can also autocomplete an old purchase. So if you make multiple purchases to the same vendor over and over again, you're able to click on that template and it'll auto-populate automatically. So Odoo tries and makes your life a lot easier and with past data and historical data, which allows you to basically, speed through day-to-day things that may have taken you much longer without Odoo. So now we can also click the bill date and we can click the due date, let's say 2 weeks out. And this is our bank account, so this is what it's going to be associated with. And then we add a line, pick a product, and let's say this is going to be bolts, and we're going to say a quantity of 10,000. Right? So that equates to about $1,000 and with the tax of $150. Now we're going to save this in, validated in the same way that we did the customer invoices, and now this gets logged as a bill of 2018 number 3 for $10,000 for 10,000 units for $1,000. And the great thing about this is that this connects automatically to our inventory system as well. So when you create a purchase order and you have the screw associated in your inventory, it will automatically update the quantity on hand inside of the inventory. So the integration of Odoo is really the biggest value in this system because everything inside of it talks to itself. And something to note about Odoo specifically is that if you look at it as a platform, there are 3 applications inside of Odoo that everything is referenced against. It's accounting, inventory, and contacts. And so everything revolves around these 3 apps, which makes it very easy to then streamline all the pieces of your business if you have one of them in your database. And actually, Contacts is a free app in our system, so you definitely will have one if you're on our system. Now we're going to jump back to our accounting overview, and basically that sums it up for me. If you have any more questions, I can keep going deeper into this, but I love this app. So, if you have any more questions, please reach out. My email address is mip@odoo.com. And I think Noel has put my information up as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have any questions, please. Do we have any questions right now?
We do have one, yes,
Okay.
from Z-Will. I think it had to do earlier with how you were setting things up.
Okay.
He or she asks, why is this journal entry posted in the customer invoices journal?
Oh, that was just because I decided to put it in customer invoices.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
It's not necessarily supposed to be in customer invoices. This is not a tutorial on accounting. Full disclosure, this is just a tutorial on Odoo accounting and asset management. while I did get an MBA in finance and I
Sure.
do know accounting, it is not my day-to-day practice. So
Sure, yeah.
it was just an example.
Great. Well, then, yeah, I think that pretty much that is so far the only question we've gotten. Thank you, Manendra. Thank you all for watching. Yeah, as he said, if you have any additional questions or if you have something that we couldn't answer today, send us an email to webinars@odoo.com, or if you would like to get in touch with Manendra directly. Manendra, what is your email address one more time?
It is mip@odoo.com.
Great. I would also like to remind you all that we are gearing up for our next round of Odoo tours promoting version 12. You can check all of our events. I'm sure there will be one near you in the near future. You can find all of that at odoo.com/events. So I think with that being said, Manindra, is there anything else you'd like to add today?
Oh, I think we did a great job, and
I think so too.
Hopefully, you guys see the value of our system, and if you are interested in more, please contact me.
Great. Well, then, from all of us here at Odoo San Francisco, thank you all for watching, and we will see you all next time.